Okay, so this is the ML1. This is a Swedish Tier 8 heavy tank, and it's also an autoloader. I'm reading the chat is the issue here. And the map is Epic Normandy in the Frontline game mode. So basically what I did was, you can see I put down what do we do if they cap, and one of my allies said fall back. Another one says pull out. You know, I was just joking around. So I'm going to go to probably a sniping position that I found at the beginning of the game. If you look at my sniping position videos, you're going to see the position that I'm talking about. The ML1 was my go-to tank. It was very easy to level up playing Frontline. It's an autoloader. It is a moderate speed tank. It does at least 40 kilometers. The frontal armor can be good if you're hull down. You'll notice that I got right onto the cap. I have no idea why I decided to do this. Probably because it was a lightly armored tank that I was up against. And he did bounce off of me, so that armor paid off. And the other reason why is because I know that the enemy is not going to be in a sniping position this early in the game. My philosophy as a player is to make decisions quickly and act quickly. Don't waste your time. If you see somebody on that cap, go after him. Put the pressure on the enemy. You know, be aggressive. And the reason why I learned this is because when I used to play, the game would start. I remember being on a game on Redshire, and the game started, and everybody would just sit at the cap because people didn't know how to play. It had to have been a lower tier game. And I was like, everyone is afraid to be spotted on my team, but doesn't that mean the other team is doing the same thing? Aren't they all afraid also? And when I realized that they're random teams, that's when I realized that a lot of people are really not that good at the game because they don't play every day. And I'm self-employed, so I can play a month at a time if I want to. I can play all day long. So I came up with a very aggressive strategy, and I put the pressure on the enemy. I play, if you look at my tanks, a lot of them say hunter on the side. I hunt down the enemy, and I don't let them do anything. So let's look at this sniping position right here. There's a tree over here. You want to knock this tree down. You can see where this IS-3 is. His position is not as good. You want to knock the tree down towards the house, use the house to block you from snipers, knock these trees down so that you can shoot back at the snipers without being spotted if someone takes this position. And you want to go up on this ridge where these other trees are and knock them down so you can shoot onto the cap. If that dead tank were not there on the screen, I'd have a clear shot of the cap. What's in front of me is what I was looking at was the entrance to the cap. So you can see he bounced off of my turret. I'm assuming he bounced off of my turret. I love to see a T-28. You know you're going to get side armor when there's a tank like a T-28 going across that gap. If you get a medium tank or a light tank or a heavy tank, they could easily spin around. But the turretless tanks, you're going to get that side armor, and you can use your weaker rounds. Notice how I knocked that tree down. And see the view you get? If you look at my Frontline sniping videos, the first one is definitely going to show this. The first or second one, maybe they both do. But that's a great position. Okay, so you want to hit that IS-3A. Watch what I'm going to do. It's going to be difficult to knock the tree down, but not impossible. You got to take a little... See, here's the situation. I can shoot at him, but he's going to spot me. But if you can knock that tree down, you can shoot at him without being spotted. So you got to find a way to do that. And I knock that tree down with the presumption that I'm going to use this spot later in the game. But there's a risk that you're going to get sniped when you go to knock that tree down. 3 penetrations. 4 penetrations, and he ricocheted off of me. And I've got no more rounds left, so I made a mistake. I accidentally thought that I had another round. And I didn't take a lot of damage. So you can see that I'm getting in to knock the tree down. And I failed to do it. I failed to knock it down. So that's going to let me hide. Give me a little bit of extra cover when I go in to snipe, and I'm almost ready to snipe now, although I'm probably still spotted. Oh, look at that, it missed, went over his deck. When you shoot at a tank and you want to hit that side, there's two rules that I use. Number one, you want to hit the part that's closest to you. This part of the tank, this is closer than the rear of the tank because of his angle. Your shot is going to give you a better penetration angle hitting him here than it will over here. If you get a piece of paper and you draw all the angles, you're going to see that your angle is better hitting this part of the tank. The second rule is that, and it's also more applicable if you're closer to the enemy. If you're far away, the penetration angles are going to be similar. The other rule is shoot under the turret, because if it goes too high, you'll still hit something. In that case, it went over the engine deck. If I were aimed, I don't know if I was aimed under the turret, but if the shot was only high and not also to the right, it would have hit his turret and I would have had a chance of doing damage. Trying to hit his wheel to keep him tracked. I got one damaging shot on him. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't count. I don't know how many damaging shots I got on him. I've got half my damage, half my hit points left. You can see that it says base capture blocked. And the reason why is because one of these two tanks, there's an IS-3A and there is, I can't see what it is. There's a defender perhaps. One of them has engineering. And until they get him off the cap, they cannot cap. We are blocking his cap. So what you do is you get an ELC even 90 and you rush to this rock at the beginning of the game and you sit right next to it and don't get spotted, and you will block the cap and they'll never know you're there. I'm going to show you that in a future video. It might take 2 weeks before I can do that. I haven't actually done it yet, but it's just a strategy that I know of. So you can see why this is a good sniping position. They're outside of my spotting range. My artillery is ready, so I'm going to use it as quickly as possible. You got to go in and keep those tanks spotted so your allies can shoot at them. Even if I'm going to take damage, do whatever it takes to knock these guys out. If I got to rush in right now, I'm going to do it. It would be too much of a miracle for me to go repair and then come in and reset within a minute. It would be too close. So I'm going to do whatever I can, even if I'm going to die. And don't block him. Don't make it so that your allies cannot shoot at him. Get out of the way as quickly as possible. You'll notice that my gun is pointing towards the rear. In case incoming shots come in, my stronger rear turret armor is still aimed at the enemy. And I'm watching those rocks. You can rewind, and you'll see that I'm taking an escape route that keeps those rocks between me and the enemy so they can't shoot back at me. And I chose not to repair because I didn't want them to cap. However, they failed to cap. So now I can go in for repairs. You want to control the cap, and that's what it means to be a leader. If you don't do it, no one on your team is going to do it. If you play with me on the team, you're going to see me taking up these critical positions. You'll notice I only have AP rounds. I don't like to play with APCR rounds. I'm probably going to go back to the same position. So I've tried many positions. I only played the easy positions, the sniping on the east and west flank, the first couple of days that I played, but I got bored with them. They're not challenging positions. And I don't like sitting there thinking, okay, somebody spot, okay, somebody spot. No, if nobody's spotting, you got to go spot for yourself. That's the way I play. One thing that I noticed is that playing from my cap position A, you can get these tanks that are up on that ridge. I know it wasn't a well-aimed shot, but you got to take those shots. You want to have the gun-laying drive and the vertical stabilizers. People say vertical stabilizers are better than gun laying drive. It's not really true. This is an autoloader. An autoloader, you may prefer to have a gun laying drive because you're going to need to reload and fire those shells in rapid succession. You can see we've only got 48 seconds. Okay, someone did reset the cap. I'm not going to be allowed to repair. Let's check my repair time. 2.5 minutes. I got a lot of time. So when you're in this situation, you want to snipe from far away. However, there's also the same thing. You have to reset that cap. If no one on your team is going to do it, there's been too many games. See, one of my allies says, F it, let them have A. Wrong. Do not ever think like that. Don't let them have A. Kill them off. It's 20-second delay to get back in the game. And I go in with a fast tank. If I've got a fast tank in A, it's because I want to go reset that cap. Oh, look, did you see what just happened? There were 2 or 3 seconds left and someone reset it. So we got another 25 seconds left. I believe he reset because he killed one of the tanks. It said that there were 3 on the cap and now it only says 2. Going to be really difficult. I might have engineering. I screwed up when I reset my prestige, and because I screwed it up, I did not put engineering first. I put something stupid, and it screws up all your tanks, and it's a pain to go through all the tanks and replace it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to a fallback sniping position. You're going to see where it is in a moment. Because I have a lot of time, I'm sure I'm going to go to the position. And what my plan is to cover the resupply area. Anybody who's spotted, I'm going to shoot at. They're going to be out of my spotting range. Or they're going to be difficult to spot because there's a lot of trees in the way. So this is basically the sniping area. And that's why you want to have recon, because if you have recon, you can keep these tanks spotted while they're advancing and you're retreating. So look at the mini-map where I am. You don't have to be in this exact position. There's lots of different positions you can take up. Let's look at some of the others. You go up higher on the hill, get behind those trees. You get behind this rock. You get a lot of options. If you shoot those tanks, you want to prioritize anyone who's really on low hit points and really prioritize anyone who's about to get on that resupply area. Because what's going to happen is these guys are all going to resupply. You're not going to be here forever. At some point, they're going to make it. And if they got a lot of hit points, they've got a far greater chance of making it to that resupply area. What I'm doing is I'm going to build a video that's going to show how to snipe all the resupply areas. It's going to take a little bit of time. I've already got some of them down, but I haven't scouted out all the resupply areas. There's a lot of... Okay, it looks like somebody's about to get on that cap, and I missed my chance to get them. And I dropped smoke somewhere. I may have accidentally smoked the defender. It's like I said, you got to practice using smoke. And it screwed me over. There's a lot of intricacies to this game. That's why you're going to like watching my videos. I played in the sandbox. I played a year later when they did the one-time event. I played the follow-up events. I only play Frontline. So I have a lot of experience with the game, and I usually know strategies beyond what the other popular streamers know because I put a lot of time into it. I'm a pretty smart guy. And I'm a high-risk player, and I don't learn from other players. You notice that I notified my team that we needed 3 more people on our flank. I'm a high-risk player, and I discover a lot of the tactics long before a lot of other players do. There's a lot of players that learn their tactics from watching my videos, but it takes a long time for people to figure it out. And when I go to the EU server, the way we play on NA is very different from the EU server. EU server, they lemming, they crowd together, and they have a lot of a lot more players, and they've got a larger group so when you play with a lot of people, you're going to have a lot more of the lower skilled players. That's just the rule of masses. So they lemming a lot more often, and the strategies that we play, it takes them longer to learn because we've got a different set of people playing the aggressive strategy. So, like I said, I play on the EU server to see what it was like, and I was disappointed with the gameplay. The other thing that I noticed is that if you play on the weekends, the skill level is much higher. You get highly skilled players on the weekends on the NA server, for example. And on the weekdays, the skill level is really low. And I did a comparison when I played a bunch of games on EU versus NA, and it's embarrassing what I saw on the EU server. And I'm not saying that they don't have good players. I'm just saying that the mass of players is not. You're going to get more players in the masses that don't have those wonderful skills. And I've heard that the Asia server, they also play with the lemming strategy and the mob strategy, and they don't have the refined strategies that we have on NA. And on the Russia server, you know, they play crazy. I never played on the Russian server. So I'm advising my team that we need more people at F. Going in for repairs. Got 4,900 damage, 3,700 spotting. You can see that I'm using my artillery. You know, use it before you lose it. I've done up to 700 or 800 damage with the artillery, so if you do it right, it does work. I don't like the airdrops. I only did 98 damage on that drop. But obviously I reduced some of the capture points. He's going to get like a 5 to 10 second delay from capping. You got to hit those tanks. It's better to knock people out of the game. Some cap strategies, you alternate between one tank and another. That's what you would do in a random battle. But for this type of a game, you got to knock them out. So the strategy is to go after the low hit point tanks first. There's no way to know who is the one that has earned the most capping points. I guess if you really pay attention, you might be able to figure it out. But in general, knocking the enemy tanks out is the better strategy. So the TVP VTU is one of my go-to tanks right now. Medium tanks are pretty good because this is a tank you want to go if you need a little bit of speed, a little bit of gun, a little bit of armor, something that a light tank isn't going to do. We got to reset that cap. He's not going fast enough to get there. Well, it looks like they did reset. All those tanks got sent back to the garage. Well, not the garage, but to the respawn screen. Okay, so I'm going to advance. So I'm asking my allies, how is E doing? Which means that I must have noticed that there's something wrong with E, and I'm advising my team to respawn at E. But it looks like it's going to be too little too late. I don't think we're going to be able to win E. Unless we get a miracle from that IS-3. But it's like I said, you know, too little too late. No one said anything. Oh, he got it. Somebody got it. Somebody got that reset. Wow. They hit me hard. Okay, so I'm probably going to respawn at E. That is, or E or D, it's a logical thing to do. You want to take a leadership position. You got to do the tough job that your allies aren't willing to do. I'm notifying my allies to drop artillery on cap E. Okay, it was too late. So maybe I'll stay at F. Looks like I'm going in with the WZ-132. This is going to give me the flexibility to... Oh, the Charioteer. Charioteer should have a high penetration gun. Unfortunately, it's not... Oh, there it is. 268. So 268 is actually pretty good. A lot of the tanks that you might see in my videos are only 215 or 220, and their APCR rounds are 275. So this is a good penetrating gun. I'm using this because I'm prepared to take up a defensive position. I may have mistakenly gone to F when I wanted to respawn at objective 3 and 4. So I'm going to advance, because, I mean, why else would I take this gun in? When you are defending the objectives, you want either a well-armored tank, like a Jagdtiger 8.8, or you want a high-penetrating gun. And I chose this tank because I was leveling it up at the time. I believe that I have leveled it up. I hated this tank. This, for me, I probably got like a 38% win ratio on this tank. I never got good games out of it. And it's just a slow learner for me. The same with the Hellcat and the Jackson. Is there a Wolverine? Is that another one? Never got good games out of these slow American tank destroyers. And the reason why is because I'm a frontline player, so I'm always being spotted, and I'm used to playing the small light tanks, which hide more easily. This is bigger than one of those tanks, so it doesn't hide as easily. I would get spotted more often, take damage, etc. Minute 20 left in the game. I don't know if that overtime was for cap F or not. It's going to be a tough shot. Always take those tough shots. You're going to get a lot of good games. If you like to watch Des Games, for example, he takes a lot of those crazy shots. I take a lot of those crazy shots. Other people do also. And when it works, it's great. I understand that there's some people that have to save on their rounds. You don't want to do it with a tank like a Tehran or a Bat Chat or a Locust, but in general, you want to do it. I've seen amazing things in this game. Okay, so at this point, I really need to retreat. It looks like I'm getting cocky. I took too long to repair my loader. Didn't penetrate. That's sad. And you got to be careful when you're not moving, because that's when someone's going to drop something on you. Another miss. He is behind a wall, and that might be part of the problem. Just by slowing him down, I allowed my allies to shoot at him. He was pointing his gun at me, and I didn't have to go out. I could have just sat there. I got 7,400 damage, 4,900 assistance damage. So one of the strategies you're going to want to use is to just sit there. If that enemy gun is pointing at you and you see that your allies are shooting at him, just sit there and bait him. I might have had that going through my mind. I definitely remember that I realized that he was behind the wall, and I was making that mistake. I shot at the wrong tank. I should have gone for this low HP tank. But you got to think fast in this game. Okay, so they're getting another, looks like 4 minutes. I don't know why I fired that gun, or why I'm still aimed at him. Okay, so you notice that I'm at this soccer field, this track and field. This is a sniping position. You can knock this tree down, or you can hide behind this wall. This is one of the positions that you use after the enemy caps F. They're going to go to the repair facility over here, and this is where you go in order to snipe at them. And you got a hull down position right in front of me. And there's another tree right there. I have the Kanan and Jagdpanzer. It's a fun tank, but it's not an amazing tank. Actually, you know what? They did something. They upgraded, or they changed the gun on it, and they did like a trade-in. There might be 2 Kanon and Yag Panzers, and I don't think I participated in the upgrade. I think it was a voluntary upgrade. The AMX Kanon the Assault 105 is a great tank. It's way better than the Kanon and Yag Panzer, and I recommend the AMX Cannon Dassault 105 for fast mobile tank destroyers. Okay, so a fast tank means that I'm looking for mobility. I want to be able to run around and hit people because they're not invading our territory. If they had a mass of tanks coming in, I would go in with a well-armored tank like a Yag Tiger 8.8 or the WZ 131 GF or a high-penetrating gun or a Defender VK 100-01. They're not doing that, so I want the mobility to run after Objective 2, for example. That guy can destroy that objective in like 6 or 7 shots. So you got to get rid of him. And you can see that they're running in for Objective 2. I'm not going to be able to defend it. But you got to do whatever it takes. You got to spot. You got to damage these tanks. You got to weaken them. A lot of them are not going to be firing at you. Take advantage of the fact that their guns are pointing away from you. I made it to General. I got over 9,000 damage, 7,000 assistance damage. Okay, so 3, 4, and 5 are the next ones. I'm going to try and soften up these tanks as they're heading across in the open areas. I'm not going to go to the objectives. I'm going to rely on my team to defend those objectives. That's a smart tactic for a tank that doesn't have strong armor. And I don't have good gun depression. I've seen more than one message from allies saying that they're quitting the game. Saw it once when we were at the FCAP, saw it again just now from a Scorpion. Ouch. Notice that I screwed this up. Look at where my gun is pointing and the way I'm turning my tank. I totally screwed it up. That was not the proper way to defend myself against that tank. I turned the tank the wrong way around. And you notice that the gun was jumping around a little bit. That's what happens from playing internationally. Okay, let's jump in. So the WZ, they're getting closer. It looks like we won the game. WZ 111 1FT. I'm not going to say it's an amazing tank, but I'm going to say that I play it. Got to level it up.